Hi guys, it's April and I garden down in southeast Nebraska, zone 6B, formerly 5A, but I've always kind of straddled the line between those two zones. So my schedule really hasn't changed for my seed starting, which is what I'm in the middle of doing right now. We are about 8 weeks out from when I usually put all of the garden in, so my tomatoes, my peppers, all of my warm season crops. I did my peppers last week. Now this week it is tomato time. I do have a lot of tomatoes. I have, let's see, can I count it? 37 different varieties of tomatoes that I'm starting and one variety of eggplant that I want to do. Since those are also a nightshade, I figured now would be a good time to start that. I have my tomatoes broken down into Roma paste style. I have dark slicers and light slicers because I have way too many slicers. And then I have snacking varieties, which consist of the smaller fruits and also the cherries. I am not going to be planting every single variety that I have right now. I am mainly focusing on the varieties that are new to me this year or varieties that may have had some issues growing in the past and I want to give it a retry before I possibly decide to pass it on to somebody else. So that's where I'm at right now. So you can only imagine how many varieties of seeds I actually have for tomatoes if I am not going to be doing all of them. In fact, I think this might be less than half of the tomatoes I actually possess. And that's a terrifying thought. But that also means I get a wide variety of taste and flavors and fun. So, trade-off. Much like how I did my peppers, I've got my pots soaking up water back here. I'm not using the 3.3, I'm using the 2.5 inch pots. They are a combination of Bootstrap and I think it's Sunpack is the darker pink variety name. I can never remember the actual company name, but those are the two different brands of pots and trays that I have. I am going to be mostly, because most of these are new seeds, just putting 2 seeds in each cell and calling it good. So let's start planting tomatoes. So I have my trusty reusable mascara wand that I'm going to be using as a dibbler just because I find it easy to use. I have a little tiny shovel in case I need to rearrange some dirt because when I filled them with water it kind of pushed the soil around a bit. But I'm just going to get started. I'm probably going to do just 4 rows up and 4 rows over before I flip it around so you guys can see a little better. But I think I can just start pulling things. So my first thing that I want to plant is actually an eggplant. This is the fairy tale eggplant. I got starts of this last year to give it a trial run to see if I like them or not. And I really enjoyed these. So I decided I would start my own seeds this year. And these, like I said, probably just gonna put 2 in each cell. I'm gonna start with this lighter pink color, which was part of the Whispering Willow collab, I think about a year ago. And my plan is to do the eggplants and the Roma paste style in this color, and then everything else in the darker colors. Okay. Just like that. That is done. Just need to find the, there we go. Get some washi tape to reseal that. And then we will start with the Roma paste style. So I just have 4 of these. The first one is the California tulip. This was new this year on the Baker Creek website. Just get 2 holes there. I also like to use the mascara wand because it kind of helps me remember which one I'm actually working in. I wrote these labels out before I started so I could just, but I've got so many made, it's hard to find the one I want. Next I have the speckled Roman. I did do this one last year and I really, really liked it. So, once it is a little older with the seeds, I will do 3. It's most likely that all 3 will germinate. Which just means I have some extra plants that I can gift. Speckled Roman. Next is the, grab 2 of them there, is the Midnight Roma tomato. This is from Row 7 Seeds, and it is a gorgeous looking tomato. Like, I don't think I got any new paste style tomatoes except for the California tulip. But I also don't do a lot of paste tomatoes. I'm mostly a slicer girl myself. That was the Midnight Roma. And the last paste style is the striped Roma. I really enjoy a good striped tomato. We'll just get 3 holes again. Well, that was sort of in a hole. So the first pack done. So I will start next with the dark slicers. So these are usually the purple to the red style tomatoes, but mostly purple because that's where my taste leans. Okay, so the first one is the Rebel Starfighter Prime. Now, never grown this one. I have just heard about it, and because I am a big Star Wars girly, I wanted to give it a try. The real question will be, since this is in 2 different Ziploc bags, can I get the seeds out? And these are a seed I got off of Etsy. I've never bought from this shop before. So we'll see how it goes. Okay. We then have Marsha's Starfighter Beefsteak, which I got much for the same reason. Next one up is one that I have attempted before and just have not had any kind of luck with. So I'm giving it another go, and that is the Blue Beauty Tomato. I've had these seeds since my first garden, which was in 2021, and there's only 4 seeds left, so we might as well just plant all of them. So this will be the last chance for these guys. If I don't have good luck this year, I'm definitely gonna move on. Next up is the Purple Rain. Now I did grow this last year, but I did not take good care of it, and I got maybe one tomato. I'm gonna try and give it a little more love this year. Plus it is a dwarf style. And I do have a lot of pots. It just does not want to open. I'm gonna have to reseal that one. The seeds are clipping together. Up here. Then I have this dwarf wild Fred. I am trying a few more dwarf styles this year. And I mainly wanted to do the wild Fred because my grandfather's name was Fred. And he very much liked to garden. I never got a chance to meet him, but I figured this was a good way to get him in my garden. That's two. Next, I've got the Fred tie-dye, which is also a dwarf and part of the Fred series. And I do like a good tie-dye tomato. Last year I grew pretty much the whole variety line of the Brandywine, or the Berkeley tie-dye, excuse me, Berkeley tie-dye. Whoops. No, you want to go over there. There you go. There we go. Get the label on there. The next one's for my husband. The Dwarf Metallica. He heard the name of this one and told me that I needed to grow it. So here I am, growing it. And then the last one from that grouping is the Brandy Fred, which once again is a dwarf style. I don't know if you can hear it in the background, the machines, but they are building the new raised beds right now. Hoping the microphone doesn't pick up too much of that work, but if it does, that's what's going on. Brandy Fred. Okay, that is all I'm doing for the dark slicers. I'm more of a light slicer gal, so there are going to be a ton of these. We are going to start with the Painted Lady. It's a variegated tomato. Oh, that's stuck in my nail. Painted Lady. The next one is the Rebel Starfighter VT16, which, like I said, I had to try all of the Starfighter line. And then I have this Kaylee Ann tomato. This was just a freebie since I ordered all those other ones. So we'll see if I like this one. Okay. Now I'm going to attempt to flip everything around without knocking everything. Let's see if I can do that. And I don't want to knock everything off the table either. I think I have enough workspace. Okay. Next up is the hillbilly. I have attempted to grow this one in the past, but I have had some of the worst luck with this tomato. But here's to 2024. And I have a new to me one. This is the Hot Streak. Looks so good on the website. I am a sucker for a good picture. There's a Hot Streak. Next is the Gin Fizz, which is kind of like the Hot Streak. Both of them are lighter tomato, but with red coloring kind of thrown in. It's always weird going from planting peppers and going to tomatoes. Get used to the slightly bigger seeds, and then you have to go back to smaller seeds. There's a Gin Fizz. Next is the Harvest Moon, which is also a lighter tomato, if I remember correctly. That has some of those fun variants of color. Those are always some of my favorite kinds of tomatoes. It's why I love the pineapple and the black pineapple, which I won't actually be growing this year, just because I want to give other things a try. And with the new garden beds, I'm not exactly sure how my setup is going to work yet. This is, okay, let's see if I can get this. Werakawa? Something like that. This is a dwarf tomato. I did grow this last year, but in not paying attention and the fact that I had two very closely named tomatoes, I accidentally gave this one away when I meant to give the other one away. So this year, so I can give it a try, I'm gonna make sure that I actually keep one for myself. I got it mixed up with the Wapsicon last year, but I'm not growing that this year, so it shouldn't happen again. And I have Alice's Dream. Now this is what I've been mentioning about the yellow with some of those red coloring. And of course, if it's reference to Alice in Wonderland, I am here for it. Always. And then have, oh no, before I do that, label April. Label, 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 label. There we go. This is the Peach Blow Sutton. After doing the orange peach the last couple of years, I am now a sucker for a fuzzy tomato. So every time I see a fuzzy tomato, I have to give it a try. Oops. I had to bring back the Nebraska wedding tomato. This is such a good producer that I couldn't say no to it. It's the only one I am bringing back for growing, not because I need paste tomatoes or because I haven't grown it or had success with it. It's just, it's a true staple. And it is a determinate plant. It can be used sort of like a paste because it is a more meaty tomato. But since it's got such a connection to where I'm at, it seems silly not to grow it because it does so well here. And that is all of the slicers. Which means we're moving on to the snacking. First up, neon peach tomato. Very much for the same reason I picked up the peach Sutton. I don't know if you've ever tried a fuzzy tomato before, but it is much like the outside of a peach. I think, nope, it's got stuck. Next is the Fuzzy Wuzzy Dwarf Tomato. You're gonna notice a theme on these next couple. They are all fuzzy tomatoes. And there is the Fuzzy Blue Balls, which, leave that one up to your imagination. I somewhat wonder if it is like the Woolly Kate, because they do look very similar. But I will grow them and we can compare the two. If I can open up this Ziploc. I need to move down one, don't I? Yes, I do. Like something didn't feel right. Next is the Grinch Green. I won't lie, got this one just because it's named after the Grinch. I can move it again. Okay. See, this is why I normally move my marker before I start opening the next pack. This is the Gandalf variegated potato leaf dwarf tomato. I don't know if you can put more words on a description of a tomato plant than that, because that was nearly all of the words. And then we have Pico's Pride Variegated Dwarf. And I did get this one because it was a variegated. Oh, and I forgot to put the label on the other one. Hold on. That was the Gandalf, right? We've done so many at this point, my brain is starting to go off on its own journey. This one is the Green Bee. I believe it's probably a hybrid based off of the Bumblebee line. And I really like the Bumblebee line. Got a new bag of starter, and it's a little bit chunkier than my last couple of bags. Next one I've been eyeballing for over a year, and that is the Prairie Fire. I saw someone planting it last year, and I put it on my list and got it for this growing season. Didn't even pick that up. Thought I did. Oh, didn't label the Green Bee. Because they're probably yelling at me through the screen. Okay, so I'm gonna move you so that I don't have to pick up this whole tray again, but I can plant up the last 6. So slightly different angle, but you should still understand what is going on just fine. These 6 I'm actually going to end up putting on the tray with the peppers that are still on the heat mat. So they're not actually going to stay in this tray. But the first one is the Apricot Zebra, because yes, I do like a good striped tomato. Apricot Zebra. Next I have the brown sugar tomato. As soon as I saw this one on their Instagram page, I had it marked on my wish list, because if you're gonna name something brown sugar, I'm expecting it to be wonderfully sweet. And I do have a sweet tooth. And I mentioned this next tomato a while back, but the Woolly Kate is what I was talking about, the fuzzy blue balls. I think they might be the same tomato, or at least very closely related. Both that yellow tomato with the purple shoulders, or the dark shoulders. I guess it's almost blue in the picture. That is the Woolly Kate. Whew, 3 more to go. Next is the Isis Candy. Another one that I thought sounded like it would be super sweet, and that is what I am hoping for. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's the cat. He's decided he needs my attention right now, and I'm not entirely sure why. I then had to try the Evil Olive because I really enjoyed Brad's Atomic. And it looked kind of like that, and I saw so many other people growing it last year that I'm like, why not? Didn't know I liked green tomatoes as much as I did, because they kind of have a special profile that's all their own. And then this last one is seeds I saved myself, so I'm probably gonna sow them a little heavier than I have all the rest of them. And that is from the orange peach. Originally got it from Baker Creek, and last year I used the last of my seeds. And I want to make sure that the seeds I collected are usable. So I wanted to make sure I grew them this year. I don't know where I just dropped that, but I don't think it was in the hole. There we go. Because I would like to get in the habit of some of these open pollinated heirloom varieties. Attempting to save my own seed so I don't have to keep buying it. Hybrids I won't do that with, of course, but where I can, why not? Okay. And that is everything planted. I am going to get my mister and I'm going to water everything in, and then I am going to attempt to get these on heat mats. So that is all of the tomatoes for the 2024 growing season planted, and I have no idea how much of the building noise was actually heard in the background. So I will have places to actually plant these, which I am super excited about. But I suppose now it's time for me to show a seedling update. You guys are probably tired of seeing the onions by now, but the onions are still here and they're still growing fabulously. This has been their second haircut so far, and they have been going outside, and my guess is the beginning of April, these guys will be planted in the ground. Then we have our first tray of peppers. So most of the peppers have germinated, besides the 3 that you saw me put in with the tomatoes. So we got lots of tiny babies. And then finally, at least on this side, we have the bunching onions, which are doing just as well as the bulbing onions. On this side, I have moved the biannuals up to the top shelf. They'll probably get some of the tomatoes as they start to sprout in the same tray with them, at least until I run out of room. And then down here, we have the rest of the baby peppers that have started to come up, which I'm surprised that we only have 3 left to germinate. And then at the bottom, you can see the lettuce and the bok choy, which has been going outside too and will probably be planted out next week, along with the loofah that I up potted yesterday. I'm hoping I did not traumatize them, because I know squashes do not like their roots disturbed. I know this is a gourd, but gourds and squashes are very similar in my brain. So we'll see how unhappy these guys get with me. I did notice the first Gerber daisy in the Gerber daisy container that's actually out in the other room. Probably not going to show you that, but I can put up a picture of the Gerber daisy just starting to come up out of the soil. It's the only one so far, but I'm hoping there are more behind it. And I do have some slips starting on my sweet potato, which is exciting. So I might actually plant out sweet potatoes this year. My adventure for the year. But that is pretty much all that's going on inside the house. As I've mentioned several times with the noise coming around, the beds are being built. I have been doing, or at least been trying to do, daily updates in my shorts and on Instagram on what all of that is right now. So if you want to see that kind of content, feel free to subscribe down below, hit the bell, do all the things to get all of the notifications. I'll probably do a bigger tour and maybe a planning kind of video when the beds are actually put in. So you can look forward to that. Otherwise, I believe in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be starting out my herbs, and then maybe sometime, probably 3 or 4 weeks from now, I will be doing the rest of my annual flowers. So that is pretty much what I'm going to be doing up until things start going outside. There's going to be a lot of up potting and all of that kind of stuff. So if you want to see all of that, feel free to follow me. Otherwise, I hope the start of your growing season is going wonderfully. Or if you're on the other half of the globe, I hope you're getting a wonderful harvest. I do hope I will see you guys again in another video, and I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.